Hello and welcome. I'm Mercy, the head game master. Here to be Monsters, and we're back with another Working Wednesday stream. We've got an hour on the clock. We'll take about a 5-minute stretch break, and then we'll work for about an hour more. The goal for the day is to do some session prep for the upcoming 36 and 37 episodes in Kingdom of Rin. Thank you, Lumia. Never know how quickly Lumia is going to respond. So we are likely going to be traveling for one or more of the next upcoming sessions in the Kingdom of Rin, and I have some prep to do for that. So join me. Of course, if you're a DM or a GM and you're working on something for your game, this is a great spot for you. You can tune in live and ask questions, or just listen in while I work, while you work. Furthermore, if you have been enjoying our sessions, we did have a little bit of a break in our uploads, but episode 34 is now up on YouTube with the link in the chat. So I think that's that. We do have episode 36 will be live on Twitch this weekend. That's Saturday, the 22nd of March, 2025. And I'm looking forward to that one. In the meantime, though, I'm pretty sure that's it for news. Usually when I say that, then I think of something else 10 minutes later. But let's get started. So I have a few miscellaneous things to do, and then the travel things to do. So one of the miscellaneous things that I need to do is I need to ping my players again, because when we were doing this last Wednesday, we pinged them to say, hey, we had a very small time skip, about a day and a half. What would you like your character to be doing during that time? And I don't think anybody has gotten back to me yet. So I need to ping them to remind them about that. All right. That is thing one is done. Now, thing two is another super quick note that doesn't directly have to do with traveling, but it has to do with our new player character that we unveiled in Rin Chronicles on Monday the 17th here. That video will be going up on YouTube here sometime within the next week or so. But I need to make a quick note about a custom name that we gave for that character's species. And I have to figure out where that's going to go. Clearly is world building, but oh boy. I guess okay. It can go in the society names sheet. They are the I won't say it out loud for those that don't want spoilers, no worries. think we'll format that like that. And then I need to copy that into the public folder, which for those of you that don't know about that, we do have a folder with publicly available information about our campaign setting and some of the things going on there. And you can find that link in the chat as well. Oh, I did not remember that these were different. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense, but I forgot that the one in the public folder was formatted different. Differently. So there we go. That has been fixed. That is done. All right, let's get our session 36 notes up and work on some travel stuff. If we have time or if I just need to change a pace at some point later in the working stream here, I am going to work on some fortunes. Those are always fun to write. And for those of you that have seen episode 35, you know that we dipped our toes into a little bit of fortune telling, kind of on the spot. So I'd love to pre-write a few. But like I said, we'll save that for a little later. Okay, excellent. And I did already start the session 36 notes, so that's good. Hello, Lily. How are you? There is a thing. All right. So, random encounters, I've already done a fair amount of the pre-rolling for, but I have not done anything with skill challenges. I think something that could be kind of interesting is to have skill challenges potentially bypass random encounters. So like the random encounter becomes almost like a DC for the skill challenge. And I don't know that I want those. I think I want those bullet pointed, not numbered. All right, so that, well, okay. I guess I do want them numbered. So that's 10 pre-rolls on the random encounter chart. Here's another question. Let's look at the random encounter chart really fastly. Wow. Really quickly. Or really fast. Yeah, I never did actually finish that. It's most of the way done. And it's usable, but it's not done. That is a task for another day. That is not a today task. Although I think I am going to adjust the random encounter chart a little bit. I think there is a slightly, well, no, never mind. I remember why I did this the way I did it. We specifically built the random encounter chart to be modifiable based on the player's actions with their land. Yeah, I remember now. Your players are making progress through the maze. Very cool. Close to 50% in exploration and are en route to a safe area for a long rest. 3 out of the 7 figurines have been taken to unlock the exit. Nice. I've never done like just a legit maze like that. I've always kind of wanted to. I love that. Like I know that's like the root of D&D, so it's always kind of gnawed at me that I've never done it. On that note, actually, let me show you this really quick. This was cool. I did not make this, but I think it's worth showing off and giving credit, of course, to the creator. Get OBS open on this computer. I wasn't planning on using it. There we go. Check this out. This was posted by Bouncy Rock as one of their Tales Tavern showcases, but I love the look of this manor house. And then check out what's behind it. Very small compared to what you're talking about, but I thought it was pretty neat. Very cool, very flavorful piece, especially when you get into nighttime. Like the manor is super detailed and really nice. I could have sworn there it is. And look at that, when you grab a little bit of mist and throw it in there. Mwah, so pretty. Reminds me I need to move my camera down. So I saved it for later. Shout out to Ivan, E-I-V-E-N, on Tales Tavern for that build. If they win, one of the chief prizes apart from level up will be owning an actual castle. Ah, very cool. I like it. Instead of building something like what we're doing, having it be something that they like, that they come into possession of, like earn by doing. I mean, our players earned by doing as well, but you know what I mean? Like ours was indirect. What you're talking about is direct. How far ahead have I pre-rolled weather? Here's another thing. Oh, not super far. I suspect it will be more of 2 sessions from now that we'll need, that we might be traveling a little bit more quickly, but... Oh, that's right. I forgot about the weather for this date. I'll be very vague. Yeah, I gotcha. I knew what you meant. You know, another question that I probably should answer for myself is going to be how much travel do they actually have? I don't know. I mean, I know approximately, but I don't know exactly, and I probably should know what the mileage is. Because we'll want to keep track in miles, not days, because they might be traveling faster or slower. I'm probably going to need a new document for that, aren't I? All right, hold on. Let's make a card here. Miles to travel. Okay. When can you impose travel skill challenges rather than just narrative travel montages every so often, but not too frequent? So I have generally done more of just random encounters on a set time frame. So I've never really done skill challenges for travel. It's actually going to be something new for me, which is part of the reason why we're going to be working on that today. But broadly speaking, unless you're playing a really hard survival game, I think you want to balance enough travel to feel like you're not just teleporting, and enough to give the world a chance to feel, full, lived in, and dangerous, depending on kind of your exact setting. But at the same time, you don't want to spend 10 sessions traveling between towns. So I think you have to find a balance that works specifically for your pacing. But I think you're somewhere around a couple of no more than a couple of random encounters and no more than 1 or 2 skill challenges per day is like very broadly kind of how I would target that. And you could do only one or the other, of course. Like if you don't like random encounters so much, you could do just the skill challenges or whatnot. And some of it I think depends also on geography. If there's a really obvious one, right? Like on my world map, there's a river here. Well, clearly there should be a skill challenge for fording the river, or however that's going to work. But yeah, I think the shortest answer there can be is trying to find a balance that fits your game while honoring the world but not bogging things down unnecessarily to the point where it's not fun. You're taking from the One Ring. Can you expand on that? I'm not sure that I understand the question. I'm going to grab my dice really quick while you're doing that. I really need a new dice bag, and we're going to a Ren Fair for the first time ever later this year, which I'm very excited about, and that's definitely going to get rectified there. If there's no one selling dice bags at a Ren Fair, is it really a Ren Fair? The top thing that I get wrong regularly with D&D is thinking that I'll be able to just reach into my bag without pouring all of them out and grab like a matching set of D100s or like a D20 that matches the damage dice that I need or whatever. It's impossible. I'm convinced it's never happened in the history of the world. You will always have to pour the bag out. Scout, guide, and warden each have their own role and travel with checks. The way that I see skill challenges is more of like, here's a thing that you need to overcome. That might be as simple as like navigation, or it might be something more complicated. But then having the players describe how their character is going to contribute to overcoming the obstacle, or maybe you're being a little bit more vague, right? You haven't told them what it is yet. Depends. If it's just something simple like navigation, then that could be like, you could use climb and spot, you could use obviously survival, you could use so is it giving people an opportunity to kind of flex their creative muscles and potentially use skills that they don't get to use very often. All right. Hello, T-Bomb. Yeah, the Wednesday streams are longer now. We're doing the power hours on Thursdays. It's a change we made about a month ago, and I think it's been good. I've gotten more done. I've had fun doing the slightly longer streams. I don't feel quite quite so limited, and it's been better for viewership and follower growth as well. When does the political chat start? Well, it's funny that you say that, because I actually just posted something yesterday about politics in the Kingdom of Ren. I made a handy little flow chart. We've talked about this on stream before, so I won't belabor the point too much, as it's also not really relevant to what we're working on today. I know that you're just memeing, but kind of fun timing, since I did just do this. Rin is ruled by a non-absolute monarch. So in times of peace, the kingdom is ruled by a triumvirate council comprised of the king, the council of barons, and the high priest. And then the council of barons in and of itself is made up of the three barons representing the three baronies in the kingdom. So the three barons collectively work together, come up with their one vote, and then that one vote combines with the majority of the king or the high priest on important matters. In times of war, the king can be granted dictatorial power, but in times of peace, which is all of recent memory, then the kingdom is ruled by council. Thank you. It was kind of a fun way to put a little spin on something and make things a little bit more politically complex without getting too far into the weeds. It took you 5 sessions for a 2-week trip, but there was also a high elevation hike to the capital and going down as well, enough for them to stop and acclimate. Yeah, and like I said, it depends a lot on the game. When I ran Ren at my table originally, when I was when I created the world and when we had our first campaign in the world, we did spend a lot of time traveling. Like what the things that they encountered on the road and the adventures that they had that way were a significant part of their narrative. And I don't ever want to pull that completely out of Rin, which is why I still use random encounters while traveling, whereas I know a lot of other DMs don't like to. Now, that being said, for the sake of it being televised, I am, I have been trying to find a little bit more of a balance on that, but heard back from the shop yesterday. Mrs. Carr does indeed need a torque converter again. Your assumption was correct. Wait, I thought you said alternator, or is that part of the alternator? I'm not super mechanically savvy. They now have horses. Very nice. Well, and that's the kind of thing too. I am definitely a fan of creating challenges so that then your players can come up with or acquire things to have solutions. I just committed one of the cardinal sins. I rolled the dice before I decided which set of dice was going to be which. Oh, perfect. One is odds and one is evens. Which one do you guys want to be first for that roll that I just did? And you have no other context beyond that. The odd or the even? Combat is usually the least fun part of a live play. It for a lot of people, yes. Some people do like it, but I think it's important to, when you're having combat, to have combat have like stakes and clear narrative throughput to help to help people feel more invested in the combat. Last July was also the torque converter. December, you thought it was an alternator issue, but it turns out it was a battery. Oh, okay. So is the work on the torque converter from last year still like, under warranty or whatever? And yes, somebody, the fate of the players is in your hand. Well, the fate of the player characters, hopefully not the players, is in your hands. Which one's first, odds or evens? Lily says odd. Thank you. Oh, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. You're odd, and so should these be. When you thought it was the alternator, it was constantly sharing at 15.5 volts. So you assumed it was the alternator, but doing research, if the battery is 8% or less health, then it will cause the alternator to run. Oh, interesting. Okay. I know just enough about to know what that means. Sorry, Looney. Too slow, Joe. Warranty is covering the torque converter. Well, that's good at least. That's good. Okay, then this one is, it's a this. That's a that. Means that's a that. Okay. So at the moment, like I said, I'm just rolling a couple of additional random encounters so that we have enough prepared. Now I need to not re-roll. I need to pre-roll some random weather. Doesn't cover down. Oh, for sure, T-Bomb, for sure. But at least it's not a double whammy. Okay. Got 1, 2. I'm gonna do 5 days of pre-rolling here, just that way we don't have to get bogged down during session. That is oof, Kale. Hey, now that you're done with your homework, you can do your homework for D&D. Exactly, Shalendor. Not done yet. Not done yet. Womp womp. Oh. Few more days to go. It's pretty quick once I get going. So how's your game been going, Shalendor? Anything new, fun to report? Oh, wow. Almost the same role. Well done, T-Bomb. Well done. Also, everybody that's here hanging out, if you're new and you're having a good time, we'd love to have you put a subscription on the channel. That way you get notified when we're live. We do these streams pretty much every Wednesday, and we shoot for every other Thursday as well, although we're not doing this Thursday like we normally would because I need to get caught up on some other projects. Furthermore, if you're here, if you haven't had a chance to yet, if you wouldn't mind giving a thumbs up, a like on the live stream, it's an easy, free way to tell YouTube that you like what we're doing and that other people might also. Oh, God. I only have to write comments for 7 more students. These are also the hardest, right? Because you left them for last, of course. No game yesterday since the wind here knocked the dam's power. Oh, dang it. Sorry to hear that. Usually like as soon as you get here. I know you do. I appreciate that. You are awesome about that. Um. Okay. Oh, I love random weather. It introduces a like dynamics and things that I would just never think of. We have had hurricanes before. Well, I'm not spoiling whether or not that's has anything to do with what's been rolled here, but you've got two people lined up on Saturday that want the PC for 2,200. Nice, nice. That's right about double your money, yeah. Hey, Cyber Sloth, good to see you. How's your week been so far? Just over? Very nice. Nah, we stay in a capstone for another month. Well, remember, I'm rolling pretty far in advance. So I'm getting kind of all the rolls out of the way for what I anticipate to be at least the near future. So I may or may not be rolling for anything that's happening anytime soon. All right, so we've got some weather, we've got some random encounters. Now we need to work on some skill challenges, and I think, yeah, some of those things are going to interact, but we'll come up with at least some general skill challenges. I've never used, as we were talking about earlier, I've never used skill challenges for travel before, but I I was watching some videos on advice for how to balance travel in your game recently. And frankly, I really didn't like most of the advice. There was only one video that I saw that handled things in a way that I thought was actually either unique or not just hand waving travel completely. And that was to include skill challenges, which generally skill challenges more like for a chase scene or like that kind of thing, but I think it makes sense for wilderness travel as well. You have a 5e session this weekend. Very nice. Your players just defeated a scouting party of orcs. A necromancer's apprentice they left behind earlier is about to raise them. Nice. Dig it. I dig it. Some immediate consequences. Or not consequences per se, but whatever. It's a good throughput. You roll a number of d6 equal to the number of days traveled, and for each one that lands on a 1, it's a random encounter. That's probably not mathematically not super different from the way that I do random encounters as well. I mean, I'm definitely rolling, like, I have mine all handled through the random encounter tables. So like the random encounter tables have a chunk that is just nothing happens. And then also like a chunk that is like non-combat things happen. I think that's one of the things that throws a lot of people off when they think of random encounters in terms of travel. A lot of people, I think, are imagining random encounter charts that are always full of combat. So you can control that in terms of like, I have a chart that is full of combat, so I'm going to randomize how often I use the chart, which is what you're doing, versus mine, which is like, I have a chart that includes lack of combat, and then like I just roll on that. So that, like I said, mathematically probably pretty simple or pretty similar, but two different ways of doing it. I do like that though. All right. So what are some likely skill challenges that we might need? Navigation, obviously. Nice. So, yes, Lily, but so for skill challenges, what we're talking about is more of like, I present something that is an obstacle to the party, and then they describe what skills they're going to use to try to overcome that. So like I might say, you are lost, right? Like your navigation has failed. So like, what skills are you going to use to try to correct your, to get back on track? And so, like if somebody can describe like, oh, like I use spot to look for, like whatever, like which side of the trees moss grows on, which I think is actually not very reliable in real life, if I remember correctly, but whatever, that type of thing. Or, what direction the sun is setting in, or, that kind of thing. So like a skill challenge would be like, you are lost. A skill challenge would be like, you are going to make a climb check to climb the tree to tell me what direction the sun is setting in so that I can make a survival check. So like that type of thing. So the skill challenge is us collectively coming together to like solve the challenge. Your GM had you do skill challenges to avoid getting caught by the Duragar that were searching for you. You used your jump skill to create a false trail through tiny stalagmites on the ground around. They spent about 20 minutes wondering why the trail. Nice. That's fun. I like that. You should implement survival skill challenges like carrying fresh food will attract raccoons to steal from their pockets at night. Yeah, yes, I absolutely have things like that in here as well. So navigation is something that they might need to overcome. What about like equipment failure? Difficult terrain. Well, hunting, right? To build off of what Cybersloth said. Hunting slash gathering, I guess. Because maybe they've run out of rations as some, if something's stolen them or if they've, been on the road longer than they expected or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Actually, you know what? Weather, right? That could be a skill challenge. Like if it gets super windy or if it snows a bunch or something like that. Like how are you guys setting up your camp and whatnot to like minimize the effects of that? Navigation, equipment failure, difficult terrain, hunting, gathering, inclement weather. Mm-mm-mm. Like non-combat dangerous fauna. Let me double check my encounter chart, but I think I handled that stuff through encounter chart instead. Which, if I was building that from scratch now with a plan to use it in conjunction with skill challenges, I would probably move that to skill challenge. But I think it's fine in the encounter chart if that's where it is. Let me see here. Yeah, for sure. For sure. At least I could have sworn that I did. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So I have my chart broken up into a number of different categories. So we have none, right? Like nothing happens. Environment, animal, vermin, plant, humanoid, and I'll just say special. So environment, it could be anything from like will-o-wisps, aurora borealis, trees falling, forest fire, blood, poisoned by snake, like that sort of thing is all an environment. Yeah, well, and that's what I'm thinking of. What did I call it? Equipment failure. I'm including things like wagons and whatnot, I think, in that. That's hilarious. I mean, I guess right. There's only so many answers to a question like this, but just for context, right? What we came up with on our own was navigation, equipment failure, difficult terrain, hunting, gathering, and inclement weather. Those are the 5 that we have so far. I just typed it into ChatGPT just to see if there was anything else obvious that we had missed. And their first suggestions were difficult terrain, extreme weather, navigational hazards, natural disasters, and foraging for resources. Okay. Glad we're all on the same page at least. Hey, I didn't really have any other interesting input beyond that. So I think we've got a good list. I think that's good. So now let's see. How do I want to prep for this? Because what the thing is going to be, right? If we land on it, is like that's going to depend on the moment. It's going to depend on the context. So I don't want to try and write out like specific navigation challenges or specific difficult terrain. What I do want to do that I think would be helpful is to write out what types of skills might be used, so that way I have something comparable for DCs. Again, I'm not going to do every single skill, but like for say navigation, I might say, oh, survival will be a DC 10. Things like spot and search or whatever will be a DC 15, and any other miscellaneous skills will be a DC 20. I mean, I'm just making up numbers, but something like that. So then that way, when somebody says, oh, I want to use climb to climb up the tree to give directions to the person who's really good at survival, then I kind of have something to work from. Something like a quick quick check comparison to work from. Off topic, the upcoming Tarkari set looks good. I've only looked at it a little bit so far. Some of the full art lands look awesome. So let's get, actually, I'm just going to grab a character sheet. That'll be easier. All right. Do I? Well, I'm almost back creating a random encounter chart now. If I'm not careful, though, I was like, should there be like easy, medium, and hard things within each of these categories? But no. I think that's getting too much into just essentially backdooring my way into having another random encounter chart. So for navigation, like good skills, I think that's how we'll do it. Maybe this should be a table. Yes, I think this should be a table. This should be like a 4x5 table. Oh God, inserting a table into a Word document. God have mercy on my soul. Four by 5. No, 4x6. Yes. You can have every member roll. Whoever rolls lowest is the one affected. Oh, that's interesting. I think that works really well with, the, stepped on a snake, twisted your ankle type stuff for sure. Yeah, I like that. I guess I might as well put these in alphabetical order while we're at it. A, B, C, D. Why is there a drop-down menu being added here? Oh God, no. Equipment failure. Inclement weather. Oh, wait. Derp. Hunting and gathering. And navigation. We will justify those. Okay, so setting DCs. 10, 12, 14. 8, 10, 14. 5, 10, 15. For essentially like how directly applicable the skill is. I guess these aren't player character sheets, though. So I should actually pull up the digital sheets because I want to see kind of vaguely what kind of bonuses to skills does our party have. So I can see how, like, I'm not going to tailor it exactly to their skills, but at the same time, like, I want it to be, I want it to make sense, but I want it to be within an achievable zip code as well. Character info. Character sheets. So that character ranges anywhere between -2 and +3 for most things. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, never mind. That was ability modifiers. Well, they do still have some negatives. Between -3 and +11. Little Bobby tables. Okay. Let's look at more like median. About like a +4. Same thing. Probably +5 on that one. So somewhere between +2 and +5. There are things that they have much lower on and things that they have much higher on, but probably 3.5-ish is going to be the average bonus for the average skill for the average character in our party. And if the average roll on a d20 is 11, then that means that our average result for our party is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 14. So I think what I want to do here is I want to come up with 1 or 2 skills that fit good, average, and like bad solutions for each thing. So let's do numbers and then we'll do skills. Inclement weather, for instance, unless we're talking something super crazy, probably shouldn't be something that's super hard to work out. That feels more like good solutions will be an 8, a DC 8. Average solutions will be a DC maybe 11, and bad solutions will be a 14. About navigation. Navigation is definitely a bit of a learned skill, so I feel like those should be a little bit higher. Maybe like 10, 13, 16. Now, for hunting and gathering, that technically, like, by the book would just be the survival skill. Let's look at the rules for that really fast. Oh, shoot, I need to break here soon. Okay, we'll finish filling out DCs in the table, and then we'll take our stretch break. Oh, I think I just hit it, didn't I? Like a minute or so ago. Oh, no. Is the SRD down? That's not good. It appears to be down. Oh, and Pixie took a bunch of my books upstairs to work on a character for a table game. That's unfortunate. All right. Difficult terrain. I feel like that's, you know, difficult. That's hard. That's a harder thing. So I'm thinking more like 12, 14, 16. Hello, Amras. How you doing, sir? Equipment failure. Probably same DCs, 12, 14, 16. Or do we like, nah, 12, 17, 20 is a lot. About 10, 14, 18. Because equipment failure is, yeah, I think I like that better. 10, 14, 18. Because equipment failure is definitely like more specialized. All right, you can't complain. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. How's your back treating you? That's really unfortunate. Those books are almost always within arm's reach, which makes these streams really easy. Let's see if I can just find this. Pretty much 100%. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm glad that it at least seems like there might not be any, you know, long-term injury. I also like playing with exhaustion. Yeah, that would be interesting to hear. When we take our break, you can type out some answers here. We use like force marching rules and stuff. So, you know, if they've done essentially more effort than would be 8 normal hours of normal marching, than we do force marching, which is the 3-5 system to then hit people with exhaustion. But I'd be curious to hear more about how you implement exhaustion for overland travel. Oh my gosh. Somebody made, holy crap. Somebody on Giant ITP made a guide of all of the 3.5 uses of survival. Including which book they came from and which page in which book. Holy crap, this is amazing. Is your homework considered done already? Have you sent me something new? Then no. Because you said, but I won't be there for that. So I said, okay, true, but I can narrate for you. So I guess for you in particular, I need to know more about like specifically what you'd like to see happen. Like what does the transition look like is what we need to cover, right? How do we go from how Alan Dyke was behaving last session to how he's going to be behaving at the start of this session? I'm pretty sure that survival is just 10, and then you tend to find a ration's worth of supplies, and then for every 2 that you succeed by beyond 10, you find another ration's worth of food. I'm pretty sure. So maybe we don't need one for hunting and gathering as a skill challenge. Well, but not everybody has survival, right? No, yeah. I like that better. Okay. So that means that we need to be... Yeah, I think 10, 12, 14 is what we'll start with on that one. All right. And then we're going to take our stretch break. So, 2 things. I'll be gone for about 5 minutes. I'll be back with the books that we want to reference since the SRD seems to be down. If you haven't had a chance to like the stream yet, if you would consider doing that, we'd surely appreciate it. It's a good, easy, free way to support what we're doing and tell YouTube that they should show our stuff to more people. And speaking of showing our stuff to people, if you guys hadn't heard, episode 34 of our campaign did hit YouTube earlier today. Obviously, you're not really going to have time to get started on that during a 5-minute break, but maybe after we finish the stream. Thank you all. I'll see you in a couple minutes. All right. We are back. We've refilled our drink. Won our Pokemon Go battle. All is right with the world. Before I start up my timer, there's one quick thing that I need to look at. All right. And Cyber Sloth said, I have changed the 5e exhaustion rules every day without adequate rest. Without adequate rest results in a -1 to all rolls. The players can accumulate any number of exhaustion stacks. When they rest, it removes 1 stack. Interesting. How is that different from how 5e normally does it? I'm not familiar enough with 5e to know that off the top of my head. Grab the good old PHB here. Just double check my recollection on survival real fast. So that we're not breaking anything one way or the other. I don't want to make survival harder than it needs to be. Or than, than it rules is written. But I also don't want to make it way easier on accident. And thank you for that, Looney. Appreciate you. All right, skill descriptions. Here we go. Yep, here we go. Oh, right. I'm back to work now. I should update the thing. All right, there's that. So, survival. Use this skill to follow tracks, hunt wild game, guide a party safely through frozen wastelands, identify signs that owl bears live nearby, predict the weather, or avoid quicksand and other natural hazards. Oh. I forgot about that part. It makes sense, but... Okay. Hey, my memory was correct. DC 10 to get along in the wild. Move up to 1/2 your overland speed while hunting and foraging. You can provide food and water for 1 other person for every 2 points by which your check result exceeds 10. Cool. I had forgotten about some of the rest of this, though. Gain a bonus on fortitude saves against severe weather while moving up to 1/2 your speed. Or +4 if you remain stationary. With the survival skill. Nice. Okay. So, of course, survival is going to be a premium skill for many of these things. That being said, it looks like some of our DCs are too low. The navigation is a 15 for a good skill. So maybe we go 15, 17, 20 for good, average, bad. We'll see how I feel about this when we go to actually implement it. Hunting and gathering. Okay, that one we had down well, I think. Equipment failure. I think we're going to need to look at craft for that one. And difficult terrain also falls under survival. So survival is obviously really good for survival, but also a little bit of a linchpin for what we're trying to do. Okay, I think we'll reuse DCs like the ones we had for navigation, since it's primarily a survival-based skill. And then equipment failure. I mean, craft is definitely the first thing that comes to mind. Does anybody else have any other thoughts? Disable device. But like, sort of. I would say that disable device would be probably the average skill, or an example of an average skill. If you know how to disable it, like, you have to know how something works in order to disable it. Yeah, I think craft works there. Okay, so difficult terrain. I want to write this. I guess I can probably show you. Oh, here, let me put a bunch of spaces in so this is on its own sheet, and then I can just show you what I'm doing instead of having you only see my face. We can do it this way. Gotta make sure not to forget that I'm showing you guys and scroll around too much in the document otherwise. Okay. So for equipment failure, that would be like... $10 would be relevant craft. $14 would be other craft. $18, I don't have a good example in my head. Hunting and gathering, obviously. Survival is an obvious one for all of these. What are some other things that we might use here? Oh, knowledge. Okay, hold on. Let's go one thing at a time. Difficult to no. Let's do equipment failure. So we had craft. What else? Oh, disable device. Actually, so maybe we do 18 as other craft. And then we do 14, the example is disable device. I like that. Unless anything else jumps out at me. And like I said, these are just examples. So for instance, with an equipment failure, with an averagely applicable skill, the example is disable device, but like depending on what it is, I would also potentially allow like use rope would be of average or maybe even good depending on how they describe it. Another example of bad would be like, nah, probably not that either. Yeah, you never know what players are going to come up with, but I think that's a reasonably good example. I do sort of feel like I need to redo the table, but let's fill it out first. We can make it pretty when we're done. What else would be good for helping with dealing with difficult terrain? Balance, probably. Yeah, balance, jump, that kind of thing. Hey, Amras, what's up? Oh, yeah, I'll try and look when we finish this thought process. Knowledge engineering, but I would say that that's actually probably more in the good range. Exhaustion rules for 5e are kind of all over the place, different debilitating effects across 6 stages. Oh god, I thought there were like 3. Oh boy. Has it always been that way, or did they do an overhaul at some point? I guess spot maybe would be an example of a bad one. But, maybe you like see something that, helps. Oh, an average would be move silently here, I think. I capitalize that I. Dead. What is a useful but not very good hunting skill? That's in the 2014 books. Really? Okay. I'm having trouble coming up with things for the bad column, which makes me wonder if maybe the bad column is bad. See what I did there? Maybe bad doesn't have an example. Maybe bad is just like anything that's worse than the things that we've suggested in good or average. I think I like that better. I think I think that works better. Bad is just all encompassing. So for inclement weather, what else would help us with inclement weather? Survival, obviously. And things like knowledge, you know, I would say knowledge nature probably would count as like good. What would be average? Maybe craft? Maybe relevant craft goes here. Well, but what would be, well, yeah, relevant to what they're describing. I like that. And navigation. I mean, obviously, spot seems easy to put in here as the example. Like, do you see? Do you see what I see? All right. Yeah, I think as soon as I stopped agonizing over things to go in the bad column, that became significantly easier. So let's do a quick trial. I'm gonna camera hide or whatever, screen hide again. Hello there. I'm afraid I don't know how to pronounce your first name. I'm gonna go with Mr. Clark for now. What is this chart? We are making a chart for kind of example difficulties for skill checks that our players might use to overcome skill challenges. So if we had something like, say, you got lost in the woods, like how are you going to find your way again? Instead of just having one person make a single survival check that you live or die on, you let everybody describe how they're going to help with that situation. And then if you get X number of successes before you get Y number of failures, then you succeed. Yeah, thank you. How's your day going? Appreciate you coming by. I guess for context, I assume the people tuning in realize this, but if you didn't realize, I'm working on stuff for D&D. Hello, Lee. Good to see you. You've never DM before. You're going to learn from me. Hey, that's awesome. Thank you. I do these DM working streams pretty much every Wednesday and about every other Thursday. You're always welcome to tune in. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask them. Happy to have a discussion. Or if you just want to watch what we're working on, of course, that works too. If you've never DM'd before, I'll be working on very specific things, but it may still be inspiring. And my hope is over the course of, as the year goes on, or I guess, sorry, from your perspective, I need to move my hand that way. As the year goes on, I want to start releasing some, kind of how to run the game sort of videos as well. Like some scripted content. I am wondering a little bit if I over-designed it a little bit. Should I potentially have had lower DCs and then just modified the number of successes needed? That probably would have been a cleaner. That's more of a 5e way to do it, but that probably would have been a cleaner way to do it. The problem is doing that is it means that you're actually setting DCs lower than the skills are supposed to have. But I think if we were playing 5th edition, that's probably how I'd do it. I think for 3.5, I like what we did. You've bought all the books and such, but your homies are being born. I'm sorry to hear that. Usually the hardest part is finding somebody who wants to DM. Have you played before? Or are you going in totally blind? I think I'm going to change the frequency for my random encounter chart. Now that we've included skill challenges as another way to shake things up, I think I want to adjust the time frame a little bit. But I'll muse my way through that here in a second. You've played twice, but it was a paid game that got bored. I'm sorry to hear that. Especially, personally, I know some people get really judgy about paying for games. Personally, I think that's fine. I think that can be a great way to curate the experience that you want. But I think especially if you're paying, if you're not getting what you want, get out. So good on you for that at least. What would you like to see in a game? So you've bought the books and everything. It sounds like you want a DM, so you're gonna kind of be the change you want to see in the world, sort of deal. What would the ideal game look like to you? Yeah, exactly. Hello, Tom. How are you? Thanks for coming by. Good to see you. If we do that, then we're... No, I think the frequency that I had is okay. I'm rolling once every 4 hours while they're moving and once every 8 hours while they're stationary. I think that's fair. I think really by the math, it should probably be like every hour or two while they're moving, but I would have to drastically rework my percentages in order for that to make sense. Otherwise, it would take a year to travel anywhere because we'd have so many so many encounters. I'm doing pretty good overall, thank you. I'm a little frustrated with EQ right now. Because I finally caught up with the dude in Skyfire, and something went wrong with the turn-in, and he ate my stuff. So I submitted a petition, and I realized there's got to be a process and whatever, but it says instead of just fixing it for me, they're making more suggestions for what I need to do, which is I sort of get it, but they can see, they can see what items my character had, right? So they can see that I had all of the items. But what happened is it ate 3 of them, and then I still have 1. So why not just delete the other one from my inventory and then give me the item? Right? But right now they're saying that I may potentially be able to multi-quest it with myself. So it says, they said, did you try giving them the last item? Many NPCs will allow multi-questing in that if you give them the items they need for a quest, they'll keep them waiting for you to finish the quest. I ask because there's a record of you handing in the 3 items that were eaten, but no turn in for the 4th one. I thought multi-questing had to be done within a moment, but it also feels like I might potentially go and hand in the 4th item and then get that eaten too and have them tell me too bad. I don't know. I don't understand why they don't just fix it. No time limit, really? I'm pretty sure that's different from live, at least. When I first learned about multi-question, I was always told that it had to be done like within the same server tick. Every 4 hours seems fitting. Okay, thank you. You just asked your lady the same question. You want to solve problems for money, and she wants to role play, talk, and steal. There is potentially a difference between, that's a good question, so I'm glad that you thought of it too. There is potentially a difference between how you might want to play and how you might want to DM, so that's worth thinking about. And you won't really know until you've tried. But those might not be the same. And also, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, but is your name pronounced Tarfari? So she wants to role play, talk, and steal. Good night, Lee. Thank you for coming by. Appreciate you. Tarfari. All right. That's an awesome name. I've never heard that name before. Super cool. You want to solve problems for money. And so another thing too, I guess speaking very broadly of DMing is finding ways to like reframe things so they work together. Yeah, thank you. It's been pretty productive so far. So if you want to, let's see, how did you word that? You want to solve problems and get paid. I'm assuming that you mean, in game. You want to do stuff and you want your character to make money and you want to like buy cool stuff. And she wants to role play. She wants to role play a bunch and like steal stuff and do like roguey things. Those aren't like all of those things can happen, right? What might that look like? Well, that might be something like a guild hires you to sabotage something that another guild is doing. So your lady gets to role play with the guild person who's recruiting y'all. And then your party goes and maybe they break in, maybe they try and break in sneakily, maybe they beat everybody up, like whatever. And then you get and then you get into the warehouse of the opposing guild or whatever, and then she gets to run everybody's pockets and search all the boxes and everything. And then when you guys get back to the guild that hired you, then you get to go and like turn in all the evidence and collect the money, and then you guys go and shop together. Not probably the best example in the world, but I think it gets my point across. And also some adventures will you will weave in and out of different play styles. You might have one whole session that's all about the caper and or the combat or whatever, and then one whole session that was about the role playing that got you there or trying to sell the goods or whatever. So for one, you can usually kill two birds with one stone as a DM. You can find a way to kind of like fit stuff together. And two, it's also okay if you don't do everything every session. Now, you do want to be careful that you're not overweighting it. If you've had 2 or 3 roleplay heavy sessions in a row, it's probably time to start looking at something else, whether that's a puzzle or a fight or, like whatever. But at the same time, one of the cool things about D&D is there's no wrong way to play D&D. So if you have a group that turns out just everybody really likes, running heists, and so like all you guys do is like role play for 2 sessions and then like run another heist and then role play for 2 sessions and run another, like if everybody's having fun, if you're having fun running the game and your players are having fun doing it, rinse and repeat until it's not fun anymore. There's nothing wrong with that either. Some people will try and tell you, oh, there's, everybody talks too much these days. We need less role playing, or all everybody ever wants to do is swing their swords. Like, I want to role play more. Like, there's no real wrong way to play D&D as long as you're not, being like crazy offensive in some way to a player. It's just about what's fun for you and your group. What? I'm not waffling. I'm saying that D&D is about creative problem solving, both as the DM and as a player. Did you end up having the day off, Tom, or right? I could go for some waffles right now. That actually sounds delicious. And some bacon. I haven't had bacon in a while. Nah, just working from home. Gotcha. The good news is on the Epic tracker, I am third. Well, I guess ignoring what went wrong with items here. But to the best of my knowledge, I am third for points. There are 2 people tied for first, and one of those people already has the sky piece. So if the other person ahead of me doesn't have the sky piece, then like wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. Try to get back in time for the raid. I marked it as an alt. I mean, I do still think of Fentuzler as being my main. Like, I know technically, like, I could tell Squirrels that it's a main, and then later, if I wanted to, I could change my main, but, like, I don't want to game the system. And I think there's usually a cost associated with switching mains, right? So, like a DKP cost or something. Did my musings there, was that helpful at all, Tarfari? And as far as this goes, I don't think we need to do anything else. I've got my random encounters pre-rolled. I've got my weather pre-rolled. I've got our skill challenge examples set up. It feels pretty good. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there is one other thing I need to do, but that's it as far as randomness goes. We need to calculate distance. How heckin' far do we need to go here? Actually, this is going to be harder to do on the computer than it's going to be to do in real life. We get out the DM folio of doom. There's all of my paper notes in it. Yeah, how far they need to travel. They're going a pretty long distance. Ah, the DM map. Or at least the DM map of the region. What the heck is on the back of that? Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, some of it will depend on what kind of path they choose. No. It's not anything like that. It's some notes about the world. It says half gold incoming. This was back when I was very, very first making our world. And my plan was to still use like the gold table in the Dungeon Masters guide, but to cut it in half instead. And I ended up not doing that. I ended up doing kind of custom stuff. Am I coming for VS? Maybe. I want to try to finish my self multi-quest first, and if that doesn't work, to have an answer on that, and then I need to get my first 2 sky keys. So if I finish my work here and then I get that stuff done before Veneral, then I'll go help with Veneral. Otherwise, I'm just coming for Sky. Yeah, that was rough, Amras. I was going to ask if you had any ideas, like what was going on. Like something was clearly funky. 2 weeks is a great stress test. True, but like as we've talked about before, I believe the world is the world. And so like I don't want to just come up with an arbitrary thing. Like there is a distance between where they are and where they're going, and I don't want to cheat that. Oh, thank you. I mean, I should, at a minimum, I'll be on EQ, right? Like we finish here in a little under half an hour, which will be like 20-ish minutes before raid's supposed to start. It just depends really on how easy it is for me to find ports. Is going to be the main thing. So my scale on my map. It's just weird because like that wasn't happening to you during session, or is he playing on a different computer? Our map scale is essentially. Oh, that's perfect. Holy cow! I never realized that. A centimeter is a day's travel, and a day's travel at normal marching speed is what, 24 miles, right? I literally can never remember that number. You're planning to stream in between by daylight matches with your. Oh, that's cool. Thanks for hanging out and replying when you can. Good luck in your matches. Something else just occurred to me. I'm not going to say out loud, but I'll have to write that down for future reference. Okay. Oh, what? Distance-wise, this isn't as far as I thought. I mean, obviously, I could always change it if I wanted to, but it's 2.5 days as the crow flies, but it's not moving at full speed. That's actually really interesting. I didn't realize that was that close. Well, 2.5 days from Capstone. Although the distance from Fort Leone is really not that different. Yeah, it's about the same. It's about the same. So that would be what? That would be about 60 miles. At least to the like closest possible destination. Are you using like a hex crawl? You're gonna adjudicate, or how are you gonna adjudicate that aspect of when they have to go like a certain number of miles? How are you gonna make that interesting? Yeah, good question. Give me just one sec. But that's a really good question. I kind of like, I'm not going to go back and change it now, right? Like I said, the world is the world, but I kind of like the idea that that's like both close and far. So we have about 60 miles to go. So it's actually not going to take that long. Even if they're traveling at half speed, that's like 5 days. Now they could be traveling at quarter speed, in which case it's 10, but it'll depend on some of their choices. I need to finish a thought, and then I need to run to the other room really quickly, but in about 2 minutes, I'll expand on the answer there. I'm sorry. I have one too many distractions right now to be able to split my attention there. Okay, I got that written down. I'll be right back. Hold that thought. That'll be the first thing I do when I get back, is answer you. Okay. Sorry about that. There's something going off on the other side of the house that's distracting me and driving me crazy. Is this 5e or the new book? Actually, neither. But there's going to be a lot of overlap between any version of D&D. But yes, we play version 3.5. This is our player's handbook. Nice and shiny. But a lot of systems like overland travel and that kind of thing is going to be mostly the same no matter what version you're in. Yeah, the specifics of like what skill you're going to roll or whatever might be slightly different, but functionally it will run very similarly. So to your question, are you using like a hex crawl? How are you going to adjudicate that aspect when they have to go a certain number of miles, and how are you going to make that interesting? Thank you for the question. That's a really good question. I've actually never done hex crawl, so to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know exactly how it works. My assumption is that every time you enter a hex, you whatever you roll random encounter, I don't know, something like that. Like the hexes have to be adding something to the experience, right? But what we'll be doing is a combination of I roll random weather, so sometimes that's going to be a complicating factor. And I think it helps make the world feel realistic and alive. I roll random encounters, and then I will have skill challenges, which was the chart that we were working on when you first tuned in. My goal is to probably have one skill challenge per day, and then roll for random encounters. And essentially, what I want to try and hit is, like enough going on that it feels like effort. Effort has been expended and time has happened. But also, I don't want to spend, I don't want to spend 5 sessions just getting there. I have done that before, and that can be fun. But especially because we play our D&D game on stream and and upload them to YouTube and whatnot, I don't want to get too bogged down with that. You love this? That's cool. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. What do you mean by no dex check? The hexes can be used to create point crawls. That's handy for calculating distance. Okay. So yeah, so as far as how we'll be using the distance aspect of it is you have a walking speed. And then that translates to a number of miles per hour. And so it'll literally just be, we'll keep, however long it takes them to get 60 miles. So like if their rate is 2 miles an hour, which is, I think that's what it'll be. then it's going to take them, assuming that they're traveling at full speed, it would take them 30 hours of travel in order to get there. You generally are expected, you march or you exert yourself for 8 hours per day. So, it would take them, whatever that math works out to, 3.5 days at full speed with no issues in order to get to where they're going. Now, realistically, they're traveling on trackless lands. They're probably going slower, and obviously there'll be some obstacles and whatnot along the way, so that will affect things too. But the fastest that they could get there would be somewhere between 3 and 4 days, and 3 and 4 days of in-game time, of course. And then the slowest, I would assume would be somewhere between double and triple that, kind of depending on random rolls and choices and whatnot. No dex check on my list. Oh, you're asking about for the table that I had before, like why I didn't have dexterity on there? So, working with that assumption, all I was doing with that table is putting examples. So with a skill challenge, something like, you get lost. I'm going to keep using that one because that's the easiest to describe, I think. You guys lose track of, where you are versus where you're trying to get, right? Like you are navigationally lost. In 3.5, that would generally be handled with a skill check that's called survival. And I think that's fine, but I think it loses a bit of flavor, and it kind of makes it save or die, so to speak. If you only have one person in the party, or God forbid 0, but if you only have one person in the party who's good at survival, like, okay, we're lost. I guess, let's go ahead, Steve, roll your survival check. Oh, natural 1. Well, I guess we're still lost. Thanks, Steve's dice. So I think that's where you risk skill checks like that becoming unfun. But if we make it a skill challenge instead, then it becomes, okay, how do all of you work together to try to get back on track? So then you guys can describe to me, oh, I'm Steve, I'm good at survival, so that's the skill that I'm going to use, and here's how I'm going to use it. You are Frank, like you're not good at survival, but you're good at spot. So you're going to say okay, I don't know how to interpret the information that I find, but I'm going to climb the tallest tree that I can find and explain everything that I see to Steve, who's really good at survival. And, and Tom is going to be like, oh, and I'm really good at climbing. So I'm going to help Frank climb the tree. So now all of a sudden now it's a skill challenge. Now, now Tom and Frank are climbing the tree, and they're going to climb the tree to give the information to Steve, who's really bad at climbing trees and probably going to hurt himself. And then Steve is making the survival check, and boom, now, we've worked together. And I think it's a more dynamic way to let multiple players contribute to something other than just oh, well, you don't have survival, you don't have survival, you don't have survival, you do. Okay, roll. Again, as with most things D&D, there are benefits and drawbacks to every system. The benefit to just playing it as written, just, hey, who has survival? Okay, go ahead and make a roll. If you're the person who chose survival, that gives you a moment to be in the spotlight and be cool. I'm the one right now, right? I'm the linchpin. It rests on me. The skill that I specialized in, bam, yeah, there we go. I succeeded. So, that's a little bit of what you gain and a little bit of what you lose. You can engage more of the party with a skill check, but you do lose a little bit of any one individual standing out so much. But I've never done skill challenges like this before, so we'll see. Maybe I end up hating it, or maybe I love it and I find more ways to incorporate skill challenges. We'll find out. I've never actually done it before. I've heard of it for a long time, but I've never done it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed my little narrative joke there. But at least on paper, I think the reason I want to try it is I think on paper we gain more than we lose. I think giving more people an opportunity to describe how their character contributes to beating the skill challenge is overall a bigger gain than the loss of like, oh, well, but like survival's my thing, right? And I don't, again, I was talking about how not you want to look for ways, you know, things don't have to be mutually exclusive. You want to look for ways to bring things together. Is what I suspect will happen is if we do have somebody who's good at survival, what I'll probably end up doing is one, narrating that they're the main person, right? So even though everybody's making rolls, right, it's still Steve that's actually doing the navigating because he has survival. And then two is, you know, maybe doing something like letting the person who's making the primary skill check count double or something like that. That kind of thing can get strong, like can get unbalanced really fast. So that one I'm a little bit less sure on, but we'll play it by ear, you know, see how the vibes are as we're playing. We do use a virtual tabletop. Yep. It's called Tailspire. I can show you real quick. And anybody else who's never seen it before, I think it is, in my opinion, the most beautiful virtual tabletop. Again, all things have their benefits and drawbacks, but I think one of the things that Tailspire does particularly well is how it looks. It's beautiful. Not free. No, of course, that's one of the drawbacks. But it is one-time purchase, no subscription. And you can buy what they call seats, which are like a person owns seats and they can apply seats to a campaign, and then anybody can use seats for free. And seats are cheaper than a full copy of the game. So I forget the prices exactly, but it's like the full copy is 25 and seats are 15 or something like that. So, you know, it's certainly more expensive than free, but you can sit down with like say a DM and 4 players for under $100, and that's a one-time purchase. So if you got everybody to, it'd be like $80. So if you got everybody to pitch in for that, you know, that'd be like $15 a piece. You know, I mean, I don't want to downplay it. Like, you know, some people's financial situation, $15 is a lot. I've been there at points in my life. I get it. But at the same time, you know, $15 on average, $15-20 on average, that's for a lot of people, that's going to be achievable. But let me open it up and I'll show you really quick. I just Bilbo it exactly. Sorry, I read that to myself, but I don't think I responded to it. But exactly right, Tom. Mm-hmm. And I think what I'll do to finish up the math is I'm only going to calculate speed for an average of every half day of travel. Doing it every hour, although technically the most correct way to do it is, I don't think, again, right, it's like I said, trade-offs. I think if we do it every half day, it's still going to have some fluctuations up and down as they have successes or failures. But, you know, we're not going to need to make 60 calculations essentially for their travel. It'll be like 15. That seems like a reasonably good compromise. All right, Steam is open. Steam is doing weird things. Here we go. It'll be black screen for just a sec. Tailspire is also still in development, so it's still being like actively getting features added to it, which is nice. And it allows Hero Forge Mini importing. So this is what I mean when I say I think that Tailspire is the most beautiful virtual tabletop. I think the ones where it's top down and you've just got like a little circle that looks like your person or whatever, I've played with those and I enjoy those as well. But I have to say, I really like the additional depth that you get with Tailspire. So this is a tavern. This is the town that tavern's called the Fool and Flask. This is the town that the Fool and Flask is in. I do want to keep working on this. As you can see, there is still much of the town that is not done, but there is also much of the town that is done. And it's pretty dang cool. Yeah, exactly. I think they did a really good job of straddling that line. If it still feels like a board game with pieces on it, but it also is like it has enough atmosphere to like pull you in. This was a fun one. I made this this board in about a half an hour during one of the Chronicles sessions. It's not a real big board, but this was a little goblin camp. And I really like to design things that look like they might be, they might actually exist. So like I was just kind of plopping down, these little like wet spots and whatever. And I was like, okay, well, if they're going to have a fire, that fire needs to be somewhere where it can be dry, right? So like I put down this big rock that that they had found that they'd put their tent and their fire on. And it was fun to build. Just going around and doing the detailing and stuff. Your strategic mind prefers top-down style. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like I said, I'm currently playing in a game that uses a top-down virtual tabletop. Like, and I'm enjoying it. So, like I said, I choose, for crying out loud, I choose for our games. I couldn't remember where to click there. I choose for our games to use Tailspire because I like what it brings to the table. Huh? But I'm not in any way like, I'm not going to argue superiority. Anyway, that's a quick look at that's a quick look at that board, and then I'll also show you this one. There's also the Fort Leona build, which is kind of perpetually sitting in an 80% done state. But this was really fun. I'll do the 2-minute overview of this. But our players have been deeded a fort and surrounding lands. That's actually where they're headed during our next session. And they got a budget from the crown to spend on. They had certain things that they had to include in their fort, and then they had some extra money that they were able to use for a few things that they wanted. And so we have not, as you can see, assembled these into an actual fort yet, but we did go through and we've modeled almost all of the individual components of the stronghold. So this first one is the, oops. Focal length is too high. This first one is the barracks. Like I said, we'll be quick, but the barracks turned out good. This is the magical laboratory. This is the tavern. The stables. The Castellan's office. I'm not sure if it's Castellan or Castellan. I need to actually look that up. I need to find out where the emphasis is. But the Castellan is the person who runs like a castle or a fort. This is a shrine to one of the archangels of Banah. This is a combination of the armory and the watchtower. This is the servants' quarters, or the staff quarters, maybe is a better question. They're not really servants. Staff living quarters. We tried to do a little bit of detailing, like everybody has a personal item. You know, they've got a little mirror that they can do hygiene stuff at. This is the dining hall. And then the kitchen is semi-complete. We need to do version 2 of the kitchen, and then we need to assemble everything into an actual fort. Is Drew still playing? He is, yes. Just timing was really bad. We really try not to play without anybody if we can at all avoid it. But we were having a lot of trouble getting everybody locked in, and even playing without Druge, I think we had 6 weeks between sessions, so it would have been like 8 to 12 weeks between sessions if we'd stuck to our guns on playing with everybody. So, unfortunate, but it was what it was. He will be playing with us this weekend, though, which I'm excited about. Tarfari, I will circle back to that question in just a sec. Or, well, I'll just do it now. You said, wait, where'd your message go? Oh, there it is. Can you teach the system, like, let's say you wanted to do Power by the Apocalypse, but with 2d10? I'm not sure that I fully understand the question. Would you mind rephrasing? Cybersloth said I'm drawing a new map by hand, but from a resource called Sandbox Generator. You're putting map icons like towns, layers, dungeons, etc. preemptively and going to randomly generate the locations per the campaign. Oh, interesting. I've not heard of that particular tool. Yeah, we need to do another build stream to work on the fort. Because, like I said, it really needs, like, maybe 1-ish more hours worth of work. 1 to 2 hours of work to finish up the kitchen. And then we need to build the terrain. We need to terraform, which will probably take a couple hours. And then, you know, assemble the actual fort. Yeah, I'm excited to have Druge back. The first, session 34, which is the one that I uploaded today, he missed that one because that was the day of his, or the day after, I think technically, his graduation from Fire Academy. So he was celebrating. Then last session, 35, which is the one that hasn't been uploaded yet, but the session from the 8th of March, he was working. So that'll be a constant battle because now that he's a fireman, he'll have those crazy fireman schedules, right? Where he'll work for like 4 days straight and then he'll have 5 days off or whatever. So the good news is he knows ahead of time, obviously, because he'll flow in and out of days on and days off regularly. But it just happened to be that, unfortunately, the way things lined up, the only time that we could get at least 4 people was both times when Drew couldn't make it. Let's say that you wanted to use a system that wasn't D&D, like your own system, creating your own system. I'm I mean, you certainly can. I like design. That's one of the reasons why I like being a dungeon master. I like designing systems. So you definitely could. That's a whole can of worms, though, right? Because you have to make something, you have to balance it, and then you have to find a way to teach other people how to do it. So if you mean in Tailspire, one of the things that's really nice about Tailspire is it's system agnostic. It does not have to be D&D that you play. In fact, they also have modern and futuristic type building blocks that you can use. And you can roll any dice from, you can do D4. You can use all the normal polyhedral dice. So D4s, 6s, 8s, 10s, 12s, and 20s. So you could easily play Call of Cthulhu. You could play D20 Modern. You could play... Okay, so it sounds like that was what the question was. Sorry, I had misinterpreted it first, and Amras caught it, so thank you. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I like Tailspire and why I think it's worth the money, is you could play any system in Tailspire. The drawback to that is it doesn't really have any of the auto calculation. So, if you're using something like D&D Beyond, you can just click, like, I perform my attack, and it's going to do all the math for you. It's going to add your strength and your proficiency bonus, and it's going to add your strength to your damage, and just boom. So, like, one click and done. So with a closed system, you get more automation, you get more support in that way. With an open system like Tailspire, you can apply it to more uses. Whether that's your own, you made up TTRPG, or that's some other system that's not D&D, or it is D&D, or whatever. It's going to be pretty easy to sit down and run any system in Tailspire, but you're not going to get any of those automatic features that you would get with a more closed system. That's your trade-off there. Excellent resource, about $12 on DriveThruRPG. Oh, that's not bad. Let me write down the name really quick. Sandbox generator. I'll take a look at it. I'll just put it here, actually. It's worth it. Yeah, I think Tailspire is very much worth it, especially right now. It's in the Steam sale. So if you think that you might like it, the normal price of $25 is currently down to $19. So I think it's very much worth $25, but $19's even better. And frankly, I just find using the level editor and building stuff really fun. Although interestingly, it has very positive reviews overall, but recently it has only mostly positive. I wonder why. Terribly sorry. Yeah, it looks like for the most part, still, well, as the term would imply, mostly positive. Most of the reviews, even the recent ones, are still positive. But it looks like the main complaints are some people are grumpy about seats. Some people are grumpy about how long it takes, but of course it takes a while to build maps and stuff. That's literally always true. So both of those to me seem like kind of irrelevant complaints. The one that seems like a more legitimate complaint is I think the team making Tailspire is fairly small, so the rate at which they roll out features is slower than most people would like. And I think that's a fair complaint. But yeah, overall, I've had Tailspire for probably about 2 years now. Happy user, happy to have paid full price for it. You wanted to create a one-page RPG now. You have 1,000 docs in Google Doc, and you see why the why the D&D system D20 stands the test of time. Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of other systems. Of course, you can have D100 systems like Call of Cthulhu. You can have D6 systems like a lot of the White Wolf games. I know this sounds like an empty placation, but of course, they all have benefits and drawbacks. I'm sorry, I know it sounds cliche, but like it's true. Of the other systems that I have played, you know, like not D20 systems, I personally like Call of Cthulhu the most. I think D100 gives you a lot more granularity in the randomization. And I also really like the way that Call of Cthulhu does skill leveling. I think it's more interesting than the way D&D does it. I think 3.5 of D&D is better for skill leveling than 5th edition. And I think Call of Cthulhu is better even than 3.5 is. If you've ever been curious about Call of Cthulhu, actually, no hashtag ad. Let me find... This used to be free. Let's see if it still is. Oh, it totally is. Yeah, this is just on their website. I'm 99% sure this is free. Hold on. Yeah, this is free. Okay. This is an official free resource. Yeah, custom dice is a whole nother can of worms. So I will warn you ahead of time if you're somebody who gets squeamish about these kinds of things. This is a direct link to a PDF. So if you don't want to click that, you can do your own Googling or whatever. But that link goes to the official Chaosium website. So just like how Wizards of the Coast owns D&D and Paizo owns Pathfinder and whatever, Chaosium is the company that owns and produces the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. So that's an official website link from their website to a play-by-yourself adventure called Alone Against the Flames. And if you've ever read the Choose Your Own Adventure books, if you know what I mean when I say that, it's like it's a choose your own adventure with a role-playing game built into it. And the whole purpose of Alone Against the Flames and the reason why it's free is because that particular adventure, they've made other Alone adventures, but Alone Against the Flames is specifically designed for somebody who's never played Call of Cthulhu before. So I recommend it. It's free. All it's going to do is take, you know, maybe like 1 to 3 hours of your time. It's a lot of fun. So if you're curious about TTRPGs, TTRPG design, you want to try out, you know, non-D&D TTRPGs, Alone Against the Flames is a super nice place to start because it's a free official resource that's designed for newbies. That was super fun. Yeah, I want to do more of them. Well, that will probably be back during the anniversary subathon. On that note, actually, a couple of little promos here as we're winding things down. One, if you've enjoyed the show here, if you haven't already done so, would super appreciate it if you consider putting a thumbs up on the live stream here. Two, if you've liked the vibes and you're not already a subscriber here on YouTube, we're working really, really hard to grow our YouTube and grow a community here around our work in Dungeons & Dragons, and we would super, super appreciate you subscribing to the channel if you've enjoyed your time here. We do these DM working streams pretty much every Wednesday. There are a few exceptions, but pretty much every Wednesday starting between 2 and 2:30 Pacific, which is about 3 hours ago, whatever time that is for you. And we go for a couple hours. And then we do about every other Thursday. So most Wednesdays, every other Thursday here on youtube.com/HereThereBeMonsters. We also upload all of our D&D session videos here, and we have some scripted content coming for D&D soon as well. So if you end up subscribing to the channel, we actually just uploaded one of our videos today, right before the stream. Session 34 of our main campaign that takes place in the world that we're building things for. can be found right here on YouTube. Thank you, Tarfari. I really appreciate it. I look forward to chatting with you more and hearing more about your adventures in learning TTRPG and how to be a GM. I'm super excited to walk that path with you. Other things upcoming is we also stream on Twitch. And I'm not going to try and necessarily push you over to Twitch. Like, I get it. Lots of people like to stay on the platform they're on, and that's fine. I'm not on Twitch right now. We don't multi-stream very much. We do occasionally. But these Working Wednesday streams and the Thursday streams, like I was talking about, these are YouTube exclusives. But if you like catching things when they're live, my wife and I stream other games and also stream our D&D sessions on Twitch at twitch.tv/HereThereBeMonsters. The only reason I even bring that up is because we're coming up on a huge milestone here. We first started creating content early in 2018. And we got affiliated with Twitch, which means we got monetized on Twitch on the 1st of April, 2018. So we are just a few weeks away from our 7th, which is crazy, our 7th affiliate anniversary on Twitch. So starting in a little over 2 weeks, on Friday the 4th, we're going to be hosting a subathon marathon stream event on twitch.tv/HereThereBeMonsters, where we'll be celebrating 7 years of fun and silliness and games and community and workouts and water slides and so much more. So we always give away prizes during those events. The value of the prizes depends a little bit on how long the event goes, but we usually end up giving away a couple $100 in prizes. We play all sorts of games. We stream like walks in the park. We've streamed whitewater rafting and all sorts of other stuff. So if that sounds like fun, which as Lydia said, their subathons are crazy fun. Thank you. That was perfect timing. Then we'd love to have you consider swinging by to celebrate with us starting on the 4th of April as well. So I think that's it for today. We got done most of what I wanted to get done. The next working stream here on YouTube, I guess that's a good place to leave off. The next working stream here on YouTube will be next Wednesday, the 26th, starting a little after 2 p.m. Pacific. And we are, what's the word that I want? We're going to write some fortunes. That was my back burner thing for like if we had extra time today, which we didn't, which is fine. We did get done everything that I wanted to get done today. So, yeah, we have a fortune teller who has started to make an appearance in our campaign, and we need to write some fortunes. So that'll be fun. We'll be doing that next Wednesday. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope to catch you then. And in the meantime, good luck on your own projects. Thank you again for all of your support. And as always, take care and be excellent to each other.